It is that time of the year, Navratri, the 9 nights of the Mother Divine. Yes. And usually the ashram is chock-a-block full of people, so many people, and there is all these grand pujas and homas, and there is a sense of celebration along with a sense of sanctity, both which kind of interweave with each other in such a delightful way. And it's that time of the year when anybody who has done art of living is really looking forward to come to the Bangalore ashram and be with Gurudev and celebrate Navratri in this very unique, very special way. And this year, because of the crazy things that have happened on this planet, everything has gone online. And I say, so what? The pujas are still happening. Gurudev is still there. Yes, we cannot see him physically, but if you are one of those thousands of people who come for the Navratri celebration, and if you are like me, you will anyway sit at the back and look at him on a screen. So you are anyway looking at him on a screen, right? And this time you've got the air conditioner going, and you are in your really comfortable chair. So it's not all bad. And today we are going to talk about Navratri, the 9 forms of the Mother Divine, Vijayadashmi. We are also going to sneak in a little bit about what I call Plan B. So many people have plans for achieving many, many big things in their life. And sometimes it can be admission into IIT or an IIM. It could be going abroad. It could be getting that dream job with Google or Microsoft or something like that. It could be one of those things. It could be like, I want to go on a vacation. I want to go to Mansarovar. I want to go to Switzerland. I want to see the Grand Canyon. I want to go to Bali. It could be so many things. It could be, I want to be one of the pioneers to set up a colony on the moon, right? Many people have many, many big dreams, projects, and visions. And our blessing and prayer is always that may they happen. But what if they don't? What is your plan B? Yes. That there are lakhs and lakhs of students who appear for an IIT or an IIM or a medical entrance exam every year. You also know that hardly 5, 6, 7,000 of those students are going to get selected. What about the others? What are they going to do? Because every single student who is studying for an IIT or an IIM assumes that he's going to get it. And when they don't, it devastates them because they don't have a plan B, right? I think the Navratri celebration this year itself is a fantastic example of plan B, where we would have the ashram hustling and bustling, and with so many hundreds of thousands of people on the Ashtami Navami day. We sometimes have up to 200, 300,000 people on the ashram, right? And this time ashram is in lockdown. There is nobody there, literally nobody. I mean, just the ashram residents and the staff. But yet everything has gone online, and the plan B is working, and the celebration is going on. The program continues, right? So we're going to touch about that as well, along with bringing in the various aspects of the Mother Divine. And we've got Bhavana, who is going to be joining us in this discussion, and of course Nisheeta and the little Devi, Elena, Nisheeta's daughter. So all of us are going to be on this discussion today, and to tell you the truth, we have not really planned much. We're just going to see what happens.
We are going to enact Plan B today, and we'll know that it's always a good thing to have, and something which can be very successful. So I think Bawa, you very rightly touched upon, Navratri means several things to several people. I think it's even growing up as a child, we've always worshipped the Mother Divine. We've celebrated, and it's only much later in life that you kind of question some of it. Maybe children, or maybe Elena is much more enlightened, and she's already wondering on what's with the goddess and why are we worshipping. But I think as I realized more and more, there is this whole piece around, the whole positivity with the Mother Divine being within us, and what it enables us with, if we are only to be conscious of it, and if we are allowing it to kind of develop and flower in itself. Because we all know it's the mother who overcame several demons, and that's how we manifest her strength, her energy, her power. And in my mind, again, the demons, as I understood, are nothing but, again, what we feel, what we think, or how we behave. So as I understood,
Bhavana, before you jump into the demons, since we have Elena with us today, I want to tell you all what Navratri seemed to be when I was a child growing up in Bombay. I saw a set of people busy praying, and then I saw another set of people going to these big dandiya parties that happened in Bombay. And I went to neither. So I was never one who visited temples when I was young. Neither did I ever step into a dandiya party. And it was only when I came to the Art of Living ashram that I experienced Navratri, as you shared, Bawa, as a true celebration, the celebration and the sanctity both married into one. And that's why it's so special to me and an honor really to do this today, to discuss it today.
And we have pretty wild dandiya parties on the ashram when when they happen. I don't know, Nisheeta, if you have ever been to Vishalakshi Mandap on those days.
From a distance.
See, next time you have to get in there.
Okay. Quick.
All right.
Yeah. So I learned from Dinesh a few weeks ago that Navratri actually happens 4 times a year. While this is the big one, there are 4 different Navratris. And then it struck me, and I have a question for you, Bhavana. All the companies that you're involved in on an advisory basis, what do your companies do every quarter?
Review performance, plan for the next quarter.
Okay. And describe your plans in one word. Business plans, the quarterly business plans.
Forecasting.
Forecasting, forward-looking. Okay.
Forward-looking, absolutely.
Baba, how would you describe Navratri in one word?
I would think this celebration and sanctity. I will use
2 words.
Okay, and where does that come from? If the business plans are forward-looking, what brings the celebration and sanctity?
We achieve our plans.
You achieve your plans.
Yes, okay. We meet stock market expectations. Time for celebration. We exceed them, more celebration.
And last question, is it a fun time planning at all the companies?
Well,
you don't have to answer if you don't want to. Okay, I think we've got the message. Bawa, is Navratri a fun time?
It is definitely a fun time, and I kind of, I mean, I realize that I do this, Bhavana. I don't usually wait till December 31st to take my New Year resolutions. 9 nights of Navratri, I really, it's a time when you're sitting in the puja, when you're meditating, and I kind of review what we did in the last year and what we really want to do in the next year. And I think December 31st is a time when I really become very, very firm about it. But Navratri is really a time, as this Navratri is really a time for me to review and see what we did, what could have been done better, and what do we want to continue doing, and what do we want to start doing, and what do we want to stop doing.
Right. Absolutely.
Would you both like to know what my plan B was? Actually, what my plan A was. I'm a management consultant and executive coach, IMB, BCG executive coach at one of the top leadership consulting firms. That's all plan B. Do you know what I really wanted to be? An investment banker. Now, can you remotely visualize me as an investment banker? Happy that plan B worked out.
Yeah, many times the plan B is much better than the plan A, many times. Not every time, but quite a few times. I remember one of my friends from IIT, he was studying in IIT and he gave the IIM exam and didn't get through. And he is quite brilliant. He's really very good. When he didn't get through, many people were saying, "Arey, kya ho gaya?" And he said, "Nothing, yaar. It just means that I need to hire IIM graduates. I am not supposed to go and study them."
Yes.
And he does that now. He actually has a company of his own where he hires management graduates.
Right. And I think that's a great example. We have the confidence in us to be able to deal with the cards dealt our way, because I think we all have it in us to be able to deal with it. And as I was saying earlier, the whole demons, and I think Bawa, we'd love to hear from you, all that within us which prevents us from coming out with our fullest, or coming out with the confidence that we will be able to do what we put our mind on. So on that note, Bawa, I'd love to hear from you on the different demons that we associated with the Mother Divine, conquering and defeating, and all of those which kind of pretty much reside within us. So over to you, Bawa, to tell us about that.
No, let's just you guys let it go. So I remember, Madhu Ketava are my two favorite ones.
Yes. Yeah.
The story is that they were like wax in the ears, and they come out, and they create all sorts of havoc, and finally the Mother Divine comes and finishes them off. And Madhu Ketava is, I think, the symbolism of the sweet truth, the sweet lies that you kind of hear,
yes,
which can sway you.
Right, yeah, absolutely.
Even the bitter, extremely bitter truths that can make you really uncomfortable.
Right.
And both of this, the sweet lies and the bitter truths, can never really forward a relationship. The truth has to be told in a sweet way. It should not be a sweet lie, nor should it be a bitter truth. It has to be a truth that is told in a sweet way, and that is the skill. And it is said that when Madhu Kaitava, they had a fight with the Lord, they fought, but he couldn't destroy them. It was only when the Devi comes and gives the Lord indication to use a certain strategy that they get defeated.
Right.
So maybe the import of that is that know how to listen to what people are telling you, and know how to speak so that people get what it is that you want them to get, and the relationship is not strained but actually becomes closer.
Right.
I'll tell you a little story about that. So Dinesh and I were sent to Australia by Gurudev, and we were organizing an event for him. And there was this one lady over there who from the way she was doing stuff, I felt that she was actively sabotaging the event. Really. And I was like, I used to get so angry. I remember I would come back home and I would play these violent shooting games just to get rid of because I wanted to
hear even you can be violent.
Oh yes, I wanted to.
Video game.
I wanted to throttle that woman, right? And then Gurudev one day he calls and says, how is it going? I said, Gurudev, I am this short of killing a human being. Like really, and once you get upset and pissed with somebody, anything they do kind of irritates you.
Irritates, yeah.
So just knowing that, I have to go and talk to her now would completely get me on the edge, and oh my God, now what will she say, and now how am I going to sort it out? And Guruji laughed and said, I said, Guruji, you are laughing, but that lady is driving me cuckoo. I'm going like insane over here, because I have to. We talk about accept people as they are, and I'm doing my best to do it, but but there is a but,
Right.
And Gurudev said, look, what is it that you want her to do? I said, I want her to, cooperate. I want her to think of the organization. I want her to really contribute towards making this visit of yours fantastic. And he said, but don't you see that even she wants the same thing? And I said, yeah, but her behavior doesn't seem like that. It seems that she's doing something completely weird. He said, okay, so what will you tell her? I said, I would tell her, come on, pull up your socks and get to work, and we need to get this to move. And this is a point when Gurudev is coming, and it's such a fantastic opportunity for the organization in Australia to get things really moving. So he heard me for a few minutes, and then he said, look, when you want someone to really listen to you, to change, you talk about what's in it for them.
Absolutely.
Not about what's in it for you.
Yes.
And he said, why don't you tell her this, that because of the certain decisions that you have taken in the last few weeks, many people are saying all sorts of crazy things about you, and you are such a senior person in the organization. And it pains me to hear other people talk about you like this. So what do you think we could do so that this kind of chatter kind of stops? I said, okay, Gurudev. It was an utterly different perspective. He said, see, we need to make it about them. What is the advantage for them to cooperate with us? And of course, I went kind of almost repeated it word for word to her, and her whole demeanor changed.
Right.
So it was the truth.
Right.
It was said in a very sweet, palatable, digestible way. And that made such a big difference.
Absolutely. That, yeah, and it kind of takes me to this, the other demon. If I say the name, don't laugh if I got the pronunciation wrong. It's called Rakta Bijasur. Is that right?
Correct.
Yeah. So is that the one that symbolizes like the deep-rooted traits, behaviors which we, or thinking, or the mindset which we refuse to change? Am I right, Bawa? Is that how?
Yes, could be. I mean, see, the great part about all our stories is that they can be interpreted in so many ways, in so many different contexts.
Yes.
Which is just amazing.
Absolutely. So, when I heard about this particular demon, I thought back about, this time I joined an organization, very traditional, very regional, and, folks had a certain way of thinking and a certain expectation of what kind of a profile should be walking in if they were to listen. They would not be willing to look at somebody who seems different, who talks different, because there's this whole deep-rooted understanding of, what kind of qualification you should come with, how much gray hair you should have, what you should be talking about, or, what kind of precedence you should have set before coming in. And I realized, if you recognize some of this in people and you are able to work with that, it can bring in a transformation which can take people, groups, teams, organizations such a long way. The issue I think becomes when we ourselves, and like you were talking about your experience and the fact that you felt this frustration, there is a very strong tendency to feel that frustration every time you come face to face, with this kind of a thinking or demeanor or thought process. But if you kind of just put yourself in the other person's shoes and you're like, I understand, where you're coming from, and I'm going to help you see why this different perspective or a way of looking at it can be beneficial for both of us. So exactly the way you talked about it is how, I tried swaying people into a situation where it was like, this is what is in it for you. And this is why thinking a little differently can take us all a long way. And the minute people start seeing that, it's almost like, yeah, I'm with you and we can make it happen. So, there's this whole confidence which comes into people. And to me, I kind of, added it as I was thinking through these demonish guys. I added it with this Shumba Nishumba. Is that those two guys who are all about trust or confidence?
So Shumba Nishumba are self-doubt and doubt on others.
Right. Yeah, so this whole self-doubt and doubt on others, I think if I go back to touching that plan B, I think this whole self-doubt in my mind is what prevents us from, feeling that we can have a plan B, having failed, and not go into this whole vortex that I'm a failure, what I thought I could do is not going to happen, and there's nothing more I can do.
And so I'm useless.
Yes.
You're not. It's just the universe saying it's got something even better stored for you.
Yeah, but that's so difficult, Bawa. I mean, how many people at that point when you've just heard of a failure, it's like, I didn't get through the IIT or the IIM or that coveted job. Think about placements on campuses and think about the people who didn't get through on day 0, day 1. By the time they are on day 3, they're like, this is it. I have not arrived in life and I'm not going to go somewhere. And I think that's the, that's the beauty of having the strength within and not having the doubt that you can make it happen. And if this didn't work, there's something better. Yeah. And I'm sure you coach a lot of people on that.
Yeah, in fact,
as I hear you both speak about all the demons and what they really mean, I'm reflecting on my experience with the CEOs that I've coached. And in my mind, I think these demons are really 4 traps that CEOs regularly fall into and need to be watchful of. And so Mahishasur, for example, is what I call the laissez-faire trap, right? Inertia. It's, if not often, it's a trap that leaders do fall into once in a while. Then we didn't talk about Dhumra Lochana, but that's the indecision trap that leaders find themselves stuck in periodically. Madhu Kaitaba, Bawa, your explanation was fantastic. If I had to just simplify it, if you just think of it as cravings and aversions, it's a very common trap, what I call the favoritism trap. And the 4th, which is this, it's almost this combination of Chanda Munda, Shumba Nishumba, and of course Rakta Bijasur. They in a way come together to make people fall into this personal heroics trap, which can be really dangerous and the downfall of even the most successful CEOs. And it's interesting that Rakta Bijasur it's about impressions, right? And I know when we had looked into the psychology of this, the famous David McClelland, who had studied human motivation, said neural pathways are actually formed by the age of 7. So what makes some CEOs successful and others less successful is what drives their behavior. And what drives their behavior is the things that they did up until they were the age of 7. And I'm just, we had Elena with us, and I'm just, all these examples about children are coming to me, but so those of us who have a child, think about the first time they walked up that little step in your house, right? What did you do? You clapped. And then they walked down, and then they walked up again, and you clapped again. What's the message you're giving them, right? And then they walked up 2 steps, and you clapped even more, and they walked up 3 steps, and it was an ongoing process. And this is when they were 1, right? Now, here's the question. Did you clap when they hugged a friend? Did you clap when they made something and then shared it? Did you clap? And this is a question to anybody who spends time with children. Did you clap when they stopped to look at the dew on a leaf? So what you clapped at is driving their behavior when they're adults, in their personal life, in their professional life. And it's really these deep impressions that are driving us.
Yes, very well said, Nisheeta. Lots of food for thought. I love the way you put those traps, the leadership traps. And, I love this Mahishasur guy, because he's just, I assume he is the best way to describe. He's just so prevalent, it stands for this lethargy, procrastination. So here you are, raring to go, all full of ideas and passion about, what we can make happen. And then there will be this set of people who will do everything possible to not move, to think about everything before taking the next step. Well, it's good. We should plan and we should prepare. But then you can't have a paralysis with the analysis, right? And a lot of times it's not that you're doing the analysis for the sake of analysis and for understanding it better. You're sometimes doing it just because you're like, no, this won't work. It has never worked. Why should we be doing it? And, that's where I see a lot of even youngsters. It's almost like they've come under this influence of a group which just doesn't let them get beyond the procrastination, get beyond the lethargy and get going. And I think if I go back, Bawa, to the plan B point you made, don't you think it's also a big reason why we find it difficult to get moving with plan B if plan A hasn't fructified the way we envisaged it to?
Yeah. I have a follow-up question, actually.
Okay, Nisheeta, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'm taking off my CEO executive coaching hat right now, and I'm absolutely inspired by my daughter and my little children. And I'm just thinking, you don't see this obstacle or this
lethargy
demon in them. Yeah, they're just full of energy. There is so much vitality from the moment she wakes up to the moment she goes to bed. She's like buzzing with energy. I feel like my only job is to make sure she gets to bed on time and gets enough of sleep. And then, all day she's filled with energy and prana and life. And my only other job is to really match that energy so that it's a fun day for her and for me. Otherwise, good luck if you don't match that energy. So, what do you think, Bawa?
Yeah, taking a spin on what both of you said, Dinesh and I were teaching courses in two localities, 2 different cities. And both the places had more or less the similar set of volunteers. They were all kind of working professionals, all of them had families. Yet there was this in place A, they would routinely organize like 150, 200, 250 people courses, whereas in place B, they would never go beyond like 50. And really, it was almost like mirror image kind of people were there on both sides. It was not that there were any troublemakers in either side. It was not that there were anybody who was like absolutely get up and go and that one person, the whole show runs on that one person. It was not like that. They were very, very similar 2 sets of people then one set was just this Elena type, and the other set was the Mahishasur type, and we were kind of really wanting to, what is going on here? And we kind of nailed it when we realized that when we would do a meeting with them, and on place A, when we would say, okay folks, for the next course, let's do this, and they would go, yes Bawa, and let's do this, and what do you think about this idea, and what do you think about that idea, and shall we do this and shall we do that, and they would just use that 1.5 2 hours that they had with us to strategize and plan out action for what was needed to be done. Whereas on the place B, when I would say, folks, let's do this for the next course, they would spend the 2 hours telling me why it wouldn't work.
Very familiar.
And I told them that you guys, you have to start with when I am telling you that this needs to happen, you cannot tell me that the reason why it should not happen. Instead, you need to sit and figure out how to make it happen. And over a period of time, place B caught up with place A. Once they understood this, that every time I would say, or Dinesh would say, come on, let's do this, they would, अरे ये तो इधर नहीं होगा, ये तो हमने ट्राई कर दिया है, इससे तो कोई काम होता नहीं है, आपको हमारे लोकेलिटी में जो लोग हैं उनका आपको मेंटालिटी पता नहीं है, and so on and so on and so on. And come on, what is the big deal in an art of living course? Everybody breathes and everybody wants to be happy. That's it. It doesn't matter whether you are in Lokhandwala complex or Karol Bagh or Japan. It's the same thing. Everybody breathes and everybody wants to be happy, and there is no exception to that.
It's that other demon, Dhumra Lochana, that was contributing to the set of people.
It's always a combination of the demons. I don't think they work together. I don't think they work alone. They kind of have this consortium going. So one will go and put the confusion, and another will go and put the lethargy and the inertia, and the third will go and create that heroicness of apun sab main hi karunga, and
Absolutely.
And that's where the Mother Divine comes in.
Right. Like in this example that you gave. Sorry, you were moving to Mother Divine.
No, go ahead.
One thought that came was, you talked about this whole lethargy and the Mahishasur and these people not wanting to do, and that whole, I thought about what I learned a little bit on Chandamunda, being argumentative, not willing to listen, and it's like what I know and what I am speaking is the only thing that matters. Nothing else matters, and you guys have no idea what you're talking about. So you're so right. These all work together. It's very difficult to separate each one of them out. Sometimes one trait is a stronger one compared to another one.
But again, with Dhumra Lochana, for example, I don't see it in young children. So it's like, have you ever met a child that doesn't know what they don't want? They want that chocolate, and in fact, they want it now. They're very clear about what they want. These days, many of them know what they want to be as well. Elena wants to be a teacher. Now, I haven't asked her if she wants to teach math or meditation when she grows up. I was very clear when I was young. It evolves over time. The little secret is that I always wanted to be an air hostess. But I was clear at that point in time. The vision was clear.
I must say, I've been very lucky on that. I have experienced Dhumra Lochana in its best form. There's been so many things I wanted to do, but yes, I think you rightly said, children can be very clear at that point in time. And maybe it's that point in time that matters.
What do you think, Bawa?
It really brings us to the Mother Divine. In fact, just a few days ago, Gurudev was saying, the memory of the innocence that you had as a child will take you into the subtle realms of meditation, will allow you to transcend. Just the memory that we have all been in a place when these demons didn't exist. And that is the energy of the Mother Divine in all her glory. And then the 9 forms of the Durga, of Ma Durga, are just kind of specializations, if you may, of that unspoiled innocence, of that scintillating energy. And like for example, the first form of Mother Divine that is worshipped is Shailaputri. And Shailaja is immovable strength. Shailaputri means the daughter of the mountain. So the mountain is immovable, super strong, super solid. And Shailaputri is the invisible force that makes that mountain strong. Right? It is the subtle energy behind the strength. And like Nisheeta said, children want something and they want it now. They are very strong about it. Right? Very few adults carry that kind of conviction about whatever they are doing. Because that energy of innocence, the energy of the Mother Divine has been clouded by the demons. And yet, it is heartening to know that in the end, on Vijayadashmi, Mother Divine anyway wins. So it's not, as I said, it's not always all bad. I think the demons also bring in a sense of drama to the whole thing. I mean, if you read the Devi Puran, the Devi Bhagavad over there, it reads like a Steven Spielberg, George Lucas movie. The kind of special effects that are happening and the kind of the fighting that is happening, and like the Rakta Bijasur, every single drop of his becomes one more demon. I mean, think of the amazing special effects that would be in an IMAX movie theater, right? So it has some tremendous heroic element to it, and I think that also shows our life, that there are these times when things go really wrong, and yet we from somewhere find that strength to deal with it and rise above it and emerge victorious. And that's when the Mother Divine has conquered the demons and risen above and said, okay, here we are, and now bring on the next one.
But what would you say causes them to arise in the first place? Because like we've seen through so many examples, and you're saying Gurudev also said that in innocence, in little children, you don't see them. So what is the cause?
So that's where again Gurudev says, that we fall into the Maya, we fall into this trap, which is a very divine trap, because the Creator himself has made it. And in various points in the Gita and other scriptures, the Lord, when he talks about it, is very proud of it also. He says, it is my Maya, so it's difficult to get out of. If you want to get out of it, only I have the the key to it. So you will have to come to me. So it is a kind of it is a very delicious trap, in the sense that it is the trap that if you actually fall into, you will get pointed in the exact right direction where you want to go. So
interesting. Bawa, you said you had a very interesting story with Devi's form Chandraghanta. Was there something you had which we can hear?
Not a story, but I would say it is Gurudev's interpretation, which is just brilliant. In fact, Chandraghanta, it's such a funny name, Chandraghanta, like moon bell.
Moon bell.
Chandraghanta, moon bell. Well, I mean, why would you call someone a moon bell? And the interpretation that Gurudev gave was so beautiful. He said that Chandra, moon, always signifies mind. Lunatic, lunatic. Even English has that.
Right.
So when it is to do with the mind, it is all about Chandra.
Okay.
That is why Lord Shiva has that little crescent moon. It means that he has almost no mind. He is in that deep meditation. It's very little mind is there just for functioning.
Okay.
Okay, most people of course have full moons on their heads and move around.
The lunatic connection.
Yeah, the lunatic.
Right.
Now, a bell. If you look at the bell, regardless of how you ring a bell, it's going to sound the same, isn't it? It is going to produce only one sound. One bell is going to produce only one sound. When the mind becomes like a bell, meaning when the mind is consolidated and focused, then the Mother Divine is there in you. So Chandraghanta means a consolidated, focused mind, not a mind that is all over the place, in delusion, in inertia, in all these traps of leadership that exist. When you can go beyond that, and when your mind is focused, laser sharp on one thing, like a bell, regardless of how you ring it, it's going to sound only one note. Right? So when the Chandra has the focus of the Ganta,
right.
then the Mother Divine.
Yeah, and it also reminds me that, when we go to temples and we ring bells, for that second or two, when the bell, really strongly hits, there's actually nothing else that stays in the mind. It's just like that's the only sound that reverberates in your whole being, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, and we find it very difficult to emulate that single focused behavior in a much longer duration. That split second is all we can manage. I mean, normal humans, we can manage. But you're right, if we had it in us to have the strength to carry through that focus, there's just so much potential the human mind.
But do you notice, Bhavana, that you do that? Many times you do it. I mean, when you are working on some presentation, when you are working on some business plan, some strategy, something you really care about, you can stay focused for hours at a time.
Yes.
And that is when the Mother Divine is there, sitting with you. Chandraghanta, your mind has got focus.
Yes. Yeah. So we don't realize. Yeah.
There is a put on this Bawa. I understand that a scattered mind, a fragmented mind is stressed and it operates suboptimally. And therefore a one-pointed mind is, focused and is also operating at its optimum. But is there a difference between this one-pointedness and just a relaxed mind?
A relaxed mind is a great place for one-pointedness to happen. So while we are on the planet, while we are here, our mind has two things to do. One, it has to relax, and second, it has to focus. Right? And the focus is an effect of the relaxation. When the mind is relaxed, it focuses well. I mean, it is obvious. You have a great night's sleep. The next day, you are super productive because your mind is rested. Right? So the meditation, the pranayama, the yoga, what it all does, it allows your mind to relax and rest, so that when you get back into life, you can be focused and successful.
So you need both.
Absolutely.
It's just the fragmentation that you don't want.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's.
I mean, this is our brand, the Art of Living brand of spirituality, where Gurudev is not encouraging us to, go and sit in the top of some mountains or sit in some jungle somewhere and kind of, he says you meditate your 20 minutes, half an hour every day, twice a day, and rest of the day you take that energy and make a difference to the world. Right? So the energy that is created within you with a calm, relaxed, focused mind needs to now be put out there to make a difference. And I think that is where that the dance of materialism and spirituality is perfectly done over here.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And the next Devi is Kushmanda. Could you tell us about Devi Kushmanda?
She's my favorite one, actually.
The pumpkin lady.
Yeah, the pumpkin lady. You know, the pumpkin signifies abundance. See, because in one pumpkin, there are thousands of seeds, and each seed can create thousands of pumpkins. And so it's like the pumpkin is the origin of the universe. You can think of it like that. That in the pumpkin is the seed for everything, right? So it's that collapsing into a singularity. If you want to use quantum physics, the pumpkin would be the singularity. And so that Devi represents is that she is the source of absolutely everything. It is from her that everything comes. And this is a very cool thing about Devi, where the Devi doesn't say that, say for example, sorrow or lust or hunger or anger are not part of her. She takes all of that. Whereas Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita is very clear about, okay, these people are dear to me, people who do their sadhana, people who are doing their seva. These, he gives qualification in the Bhagavad Gita that these people are dear to me. But the Devi, Nidra Rupi, even sleep, even that inertia is me, is the Devi. The Devi says, this is me. Right? So Kushmandaka, the pumpkin, symbolizes the ultimate singularity, that first existence before all existence. So beyond the beyond the beyond the beyond, if you can continue to infinity, that is the Kushmandaka.
So what does it have to do with energy? I mean, they also say that it's one of the highest prana vegetables. Is there any connection between?
Yeah, I mean, it is supposed to be the vegetable for the intellectual, right? So,
The Hindi word for pumpkin generally is used for somebody who's acting a big dad.
I know.
So I'm really, it's like the same thing with the owl, right? The Hindi
Right.
of owl.
Ullu.
So you don't use it for the wisdom the owl stands for. So yeah, that's funny. Okay.
So no, but this is the way language evolves.
Mm.
Let me give you a superb example of this. Okay. Can you guys tell me what an elephant eats? Like, come on, tell me what an elephant eats.
Like leaves, grass, yeah.
Right? And yeah. And what do deer eat?
Same thing.
They kind of nibble on the grass and the shoots, and an elephant actually breaks whole branches of trees and right. And what does the answer is in the question. What does a dung beetle eat?
Dung.
Right. Now, do you notice when we talk about a deer or an elephant, and we say the elephant's diet is tree trunks and grass and things like that. Deer's diet is to nibble on the grass and the young shoots and things like that. A dung beetle's diet is dung, right? But when we come to us, we say, I'm on a diet. The word completely changes. When we say I'm on a diet, so okay, what are you eating? Or what are you not eating? Right? An elephant on a diet is actually eating what the elephant is supposed to be eating. Whereas when we say we are on a diet, it's like it's a special time when we kind of avoid eating that and eat this. So, the word diet has completely changed its meaning.
Right.
And the same with, I think, when we say kaddu kahi ka, not knowing that we are actually giving him the ultimate praise. Yeah.
Yeah. So as you were speaking, I thought about the other form of the goddess, the Kartiyayani. And as I thought about the whole thing around the scenery and the seer, the fact that You know, there is this whole concept of being passionate but yet being detached.
Right.
So Bawa, I always kind of struggle, you know, how do you be passionate about something but are still kind of detached from it? And I have a little life story on that, but I want to hear your thoughts on this.
If you want to be really functional, there is no other way. See, because if you get attached to something,
Right.
You get caught up in the drama that's going on. I mean, you know, why would someone have a coach? Like personal coaches or sports coaches or whatever. You know, coaching is a very big industry now, and a coach is hired really by people who want to move on to the next level in their life.
Right.
And clearly they cannot do it by themselves, though actually it turns out that they do it by themselves only. The coach only guides them.
True.
The cricket coach does not go and play the cricket.
Right.
No. Your life coach is not living your life. You are living your life, but somehow you manage to get so much more done when you have the coach. Why? Because the coach is definitely passionate about your success. I mean, he's going to get more clients if you succeed. So he is 100% invested into your success, but he is totally detached from it. It doesn't really, in quotes, matter whether you win or lose, whether you succeed or fail, because he has the technology available to make either thing into leveraging into your ultimate vision and ultimate goal. Right? So a coach is a perfect example of someone who would be, completely involved and invested in their clients' well-being, yet be totally detached. And it is because of that detachment that they actually are so good at what they do.
Right.
See, if the coach got involved, say now I'll give you an example of a friend of mine. She was working. She was trying to get a job at Google. She had 8 grueling rounds of interviews, and she thought she had done really well. And then she got a call saying that you did well, but someone did better, so we are not taking you. You know. Now, if I got involved in her disappointment and dejection and how sad, how bad, if I had gone into that, instead I said, okay, so now this door is closed. You are not getting the job at Google, now what? The moment she kind of got that into her head that she's not getting it and that door is closed and there is no point trying to pry it open, she said, you know what, Bawa, actually I have a job offer from a startup company. And to tell you the truth, secretly, I was looking forward to that more, because in Google, I would be just one of those thousands. Over here, I would actually shape the company policy and they are paying me more. But I thought, you know, everybody would say, kya ladki hai, Google ka job chhod ke idhar jati hai. So in a way, Google has done me a great favor.
Right.
Now, if I had got caught up in her disappointment and her dejection and her feelings of hopelessness and failureness, whatever, this thought would not have really manifested in her head. And she would not be where she is today.
Right.
So how do you cultivate?
So being passionate as well as being detached is really the only way you can be super effective. Otherwise, your effectiveness will suffer.
Yes.
It will not work.
Yeah, absolutely, Baba. Go ahead, Nisheeta.
How do you cultivate this quality of dispassion?
You do what you can and know that anyway the result of that is not in your hands. When you accept that as reality, then dispassion anyway happens. Right? You can act, you can do whatever you can. Like my favorite example is, you can plant the mango tree. You can make sure that there is enough fertilizer. You can make sure that it is planted really well. You can make sure that the goats and the cows don't come and eat it when it is very young. You can make sure that you water it. You can make sure about all these things. And once the tree grows, can you actually tell the tree, okay, this season I want 100 mangoes this size and 50 mangoes this size?
You can't, but,
You can't.
and I understand this is the basis of our philosophy,
yeah,
but there are, how does it, not everybody, there are cultures, there are people who believe that everything is in their hands. So what would you say?
They are mistaken.
I have something to add here, Bawa. So you're right, and especially I think what happens is when we live through something which we realize is totally not in our hands, is when we, honestly have developed or grown beyond where we were. And I have a very personal story here. My only sibling landed with a liver failure, and we had like 36 hours to find a donor for her transplant. Believe me, in that time frame, yes, we had to kind of detach ourselves, because if you just get emotional and, really charged up about the whole thing, you're not going to get anywhere. We had to do whatever we could humanly possible in our hands to enable the whole procedure. And living through that experience, my biggest learning had been, you do what you can, but at a point in time when the 16-hour surgery was happening, all you could do was wait and see how it turned out. And as I'm even talking about it, I'm still getting goosebumps, because I can't imagine what transformation came into me in those 15 hours when all you could do was wait and see what happened as a result of all the efforts that you put in. Of course, you had to leave it to the medical science and in some form to a greater power. And I think, Nisheeta, to your point, sometimes it takes some life-changing experiences for us to get there. There are other luckier ones who don't need those life-changing experiences to get there. And then, of course, there's a lot of coaching and guidance from the guru that helps. But yes, I think everybody gets to it at different points. Some people honestly live through life without getting to it also. Like you rightly said, there are cultures in which people believe, and there's nothing that changes those beliefs.
My favorite example for this in real, and you have written out the exam, you have done whatever you can to write a really good paper, right? Now your examiner, what mood they are in when they are correcting your paper, do you have any control? Like I always say, if they're on the first day of the Art of Living course and they've just sat in Vajrasan for like 5-6 minutes and their ankles are paining, and after that they're correcting your paper, compared to the last day of say an advanced course of the Art of Living where they're in absolute bliss and they're correcting your paper, they are going to be very two different marking systems that are going to happen, and you have no control. You don't know when the examiner is going to correct your paper. So why bother? That why bother is dispassion.
Right. Bawa, I want to shift gears a bit and talk about the other form of Devi called Skandmata. I think that's the Devi on the skills and reinventing yourself. And, and I remember that one story you shared about, how somebody came to you they were looking for a job for 1.5 years. And so the way you relate it is just so impactful. Can you please share that with all?
Yeah, this guy, I've been looking for a job for 1.5 years. I'm not getting it, and all sob story and all that. I said, you're an idiot. Why are you looking for a job for 1.5 years? You could have sat on the net and gone to Udemy and learned a way of, writing websites. Creating websites in 1.5 months. and just put yourself out there. Today everybody and their uncle want a website. Anybody would be willing to pay like 10, 15, 20,000 rupees for a simple website, which is not a big deal to make. So many times people are so blinkered by, okay, this is the only thing I want, that even when the door is closed over there, it's not even a door, it's a wall now. They're not looking for other doors, and there are so many other doors that have opened, and because they are focused on that wall, they don't see it.
So will you tell us about Skandamata?
What Bhavana said, Skandamata, she's the maternal aspect, the developer of all the skills.
Right.
The any and every skill that you have is again the manifestation of the Mother Divine. Whether it is speaking really well, whether it is telling a joke really well, whether it is exercising, whatever skill, whether it is negotiation in the boardroom, whether it is cooking the best masala dosa, whatever skills you have is a reflection, is a gift from Skandamata.
And the ability to keep developing those, and not to reach a point where you're like, okay, this is all I need to know in this life. And I think that really is what matters in the longer run. The fact that you want to learn, the fact that you want to add to your repository, rather than, okay, I have done this, I know this, and this is all that matters. I think that's when the Devi Shakti really manifests itself in you. That desire.
In our book Happiness Express, we say that one of our secrets of happiness is to continue learning stuff.
Yes.
Keep learning stuff.
Yes.
Many people during this lockdown, they were all, oh, we can't go anywhere. And Dinesh and I like, yeah, we can't go anywhere. We can sit and work. We can sit and learn all those things that we have kind of been postponing because we really didn't have the time, and now we have the time, so we used it.
Absolutely. Yeah, lots of us have become much more creative and productive during the lockdown, and I think it's been an opportunity. And I actually bring in the Siddhidatri, the one who bestows miracles. So for some of us, a lot of aspects of the lockdown can be viewed as being miraculous.
Absolutely.
Not having to travel, leave the home, having all the time you needed, which you never had, with family, trying all sorts of things. I think to me, that's Siddhidatri manifesting itself. A lot of times we don't see it. We don't want to accept it. That yeah, these are small miracles or things we need to express gratitude, about. So Bawa, I know gratitude is a big one. It's a very powerful one. Do you want to just share a few thoughts on that?
It is your magic wand.
Yes.
Yes. Jesus says, no, to those who have, more will be given. To those who think they don't, even what they have will be taken away. So, you be grateful. I'll tell you a story of Gurudev again. There was this little kid in satsang who comes to Gurudev after the satsang is over and holds his hand out. So Guruji puts some sweets, 5-6 sweets. So the child goes into the audience, gives those 5-6 sweets and comes back. And puts his hand out again. And Guruji again puts some 7-8 sweets in his hand. And again the kid goes and distributes them and comes back. And this happens like 6-7 times. And a person standing next to Gurudev said, how long are you going to keep giving him sweets? And Gurudev looks at that person and says, as long as he keeps distributing them.
That's a good one.
The gratitude that you have for whatever has been given to you will make sure that you will have so much more. And one of the things that we can do to increase our gratitude is to share. Right? Because only through sharing does the universe really grant you more.
Right.
And, when you are grateful, it is easy to think of others. When you are not grateful, when you feel lack, when you feel that you don't have enough, it's almost impossible to think of others. So the gratitude allows you to get into that seva bhav, to get into that bhav where you can give. And really life begins when you can learn to give.
Right. Yeah. It's among the most satisfying feelings.
It is the most. I mean, we are wired for altruism, Bhavana, Nisheeta. You know, we are wired for that. Like, see, you go to have a really good meal at a restaurant. You have a fantastic meal. What do? You tell everybody about it.
And you tip.
And you tip. You tell people. You want other people to have the same experience that you did. You see a fantastic movie. I mean, people go all over social media saying, "Arey, bhai, ye movie dekh, kya maza movie aayega." I mean, kya maza aayega tumhe movie dekh ke. Why do they do that? They are not getting paid by the producer or the director or the actor or anything. It's that wanting to share something amazing, which is an inbuilt feature of every human being. And unfortunately, because of the demons,
it's kind of subdued. Right.
Whenever the Mother Divine wins, thankfully it is many, many times, there is still so much amazing wonder that is happening in the world. Then everybody's life is enhanced and optimized and becomes so much better.
Right. The thing, Bawa, to what you said, there's this whole point around being selfless about it. I think a lot of times people also fall in the trap that if I'm giving, there is an expectation of return, which if it doesn't materialize, again, there's a demon activated, the whole disappointment and, you just get into this vicious circle. What's your thought on that?
Sage Narad in the Bhakti Sutras,
Okay.
He says this in a very strong way.
Mm-hmm.
He says that love is a one-way street. I mean, I'm using my own words here, but he says love is one way. You cannot, if you are saying that I love you because
you love me,
or I love you and so therefore you should do this for me, he says then it becomes transactional and that is no longer love. And he then uses the word, don't call it love, he says call it prostitution. It's a very strong word for him to use over there. He says, the moment you make it transactional, it's a business. Then you don't call it love.
Wow. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Which is back to, what Nisheeta had used as an example, a mother's love. There's never a transaction around it. There's never an expectation around it. It's like pure ultimate form. But Bawa, I'm going to quickly ask you for your thoughts. There's a Devi form, Mahaguri. I just want us to make sure we covered all the 9 forms. So Mahaguri, can you say a bit about, what does Mahaguri symbolize?
She is the most beautiful, the most exquisite, the most amazing, the all the beauty. When you see a sunrise and oh my God, that's so beautiful. That is Mahaguri.
I see.
All the most amazing, exquisite experiences that you have, those are born out of Mahaguri. Whenever you appreciate any sort of beauty, any sort of, you go into amazement, you listen to some Mozart or you listen to some music and you say, oh wow, that is Mahaguri.
So Mahaguri and Siddhidatri you spoke of earlier, do they arise from a space of sattva or is it something else?
Yeah, I mean, you have to be in sattva, no?
Say more on sattva. I don't understand sattva.
Sattva is this feeling of peace. Okay, you got one more story out of me. So, I was, there is a point on the ashram and there is a time in the year when you are standing, it's on a little hillock. When you are standing there are just like this 7 or 8 days in a year when it happens. But at that time, the sunset and the moon rise happen at the same time. So on one horizon, you see the sunset. On the other horizon, you see the moon rise. Okay? And it is like exquisitely beautiful. Because literally, from that hill, when you're standing there, over here, it is evening, but over here, it is night. it's undescribable really. And unfortunately now, so that experience is gone because there is so much of civilization and so many things. So you got buildings and lights.
There's
and
no horizon.
Yeah, there is no horizon. But earlier, there were these little villages. So on this side, you would see these little fires, the cooking fires that have started. But on this side, it is still day, so to speak. So it used to be a really, really exquisite experience, and it would happen like 7-8 days around this time only, around Navratri time only. It would happen, just around the equinox,
right,
when the day and night is equal. Around that time, it would happen. Once I was just standing over there. That place is called Sumerumanta. So I was standing there and watching this sunset and moonrise, and suddenly Guruji comes, and both of us, nobody else was there. Both of us, we just stood there. And you're just looking at it. And once the sun had set completely, I turned to Gurudev and I said, Gurudev, it's so beautiful. It was so beautiful. And he smiled and he said, it's because you are beautiful. I said, what do you mean, Gurudev? He said, if you are angry or frustrated or tired, do you think you would be able to even appreciate a beautiful sunset? The very fact that you can appreciate beauty means something inside you has blossomed. The very fact that you can say, oh my God, that was fantastic, means you yourself are fantastic. Right? So the ability to appreciate perfection, Siddhidatri and Mahaguri, means that you yourself have become that.
Interesting.
So to appreciate quantum physics, you need to have the maturity of Einstein. To appreciate Mozart's music, you need to have an intellectual maturity to appreciate that genius that he has created. Right? So that bringing on that perfection within yourself and then translating it into appreciation is my way of looking at Siddhidatri and
Mahaguri.
Mahaguri.
So, Bawa, then in that sense, it's also, that whole old adage which says beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. So that same sunset, you could have experienced it differently from somebody else, right?
Absolutely. If that person is angry and frustrated, why is it taking so long? Let's go home.
Or there are mosquitoes biting me.
Or there are mosquitoes biting me.
Right. I think we just one Devi form which I think we haven't touched on, which is Kal Ratri.
Yes, I had a quick question before that. Is therefore all that's required to really be in that state of sattva and have that feeling of gratitude? To be like this child, to be innocent, to see the beauty and everything. Is that it?
Yeah.
That's easy.
For everyone who's tried, yes, it's easy. They know that.
I think it's not just that. It is to maintain that. For all of us, we have been there. Maintain, able to continue to feel grateful for that. To look for miracles in small things rather than waiting for some sky to part and some kind of divine shakti to come out. Like Gurudev had once someone asked Guruji, Guruji, can you show us a miracle? He said, yeah, of course. Go to our Gaushala, black cows eating green grass, giving white milk. What bigger miracle you want? The miracles are there happening all around us. Only because they are happening in such a routine way, we don't look at them as miracle anymore.
Absolutely. Fair enough. So Bawa, back to Kal Ratri. Any insights on how to interpret Kal Ratri? Because the name sounds very like dark night. Is how the literal translation to me comes. But I know there's much more positivity to it. So please enlighten.
I like to think of Kal Ratri, the dark night, as the time for rest.
Mm.
You may have all this, but there should be some time that you take out for yourself to rest. No? So Kal Ratri is that energy that allows you to rest.
Mm.
And I think Kal Ratri is also portrayed as a very bhayanak.
Yes, very scary looking.
Very scary looking. It says that in this extremely scary looking form of Mother Divine, if you can see divinity, then you can see divinity in everybody.
Wow. I took it more as if you haven't rested enough, you'll end up looking like that.
That's another.
See, now I taught you something today.
But this is what, when you see divinity in this crazy form where she's holding all this, cut severed heads and those skulls and all that, and she's so scary. If you can see that this is also divine, then your mother-in-law, come on, yeah. You get what I mean?
Right. Absolutely.
And we forgot one more, Brahmacharini.
Yes.
The second one. So Brahmacharini, on one level, they say that Brahmacharini is undefiled, pure virgin consciousness. Right? The consciousness of a child. The delicate consciousness of a child. Right? I think the Christian concept of the mother, of the virgin mother, comes from Brahmacharini. Right? Brahmacharini literally translated is the virgin mother. Really. Yeah. But Gurudev gave another really interesting twist to it. He said, Brahman is the vast, infinite space where there is nothing beyond that. It is the ultimate. So Brahmacharini is the one who possesses, or who is the incarnation of that ultimate. So Brahmacharini is that boundless, vast, infinite reality, whatever you want to call it. You run short of words. So when you meditate again, you are no longer limited to this body. You feel that expansion, that vastness of yourself. And that is the energy of Brahmacharini.
So how, in a layman's words, Bawa, can we understand it?
This only. Just look through a telescope, you will get it.
Okay. Food for thought. We have to take away food for thought. That's great. So I think we did cover all the 9 forms of the Devi. Nisheeta, did you want to add anything? I just had a last minute thought otherwise.
This is really beautiful. What I would love to know is, what is the relationship between Lord Shiva and these 9 forms of Devi?
Pretty good, I think.
Sums it up, huh?
Could you tell us a little more?
They are all, all the gods and goddesses that have been depicted in our scriptures. You can say they are only one. And then you can say, okay, let us create specializations and see them as many. It's like the white light passing through the prism. So on one hand, it is the white light. On the other hand, it is all those colors. And you can worship divinity looking at the colors, or you can worship divinity looking at the light. You can acknowledge divinity looking at all those colors, or you can acknowledge divinity looking at that white light. And really there is no conflict, because the white light is the colors and the colors are part of the white light. So many say that Hinduism is a polytheistic religion. I say no, Hinduism is a monotheistic religion. They say it is one God, one Brahman, manifested in so many different forms. You know, we made a little YouTube movie long time ago called Who is God? It was made for children only, really, but it has got a lovely message. You can check it out. It's on our YouTube channel, Who is God? And that's what the father explains to the son when the son asks him that, what's going on here? So the father says, he asks him, who am I to you? So he says, you are my father. And he says, who am I to your mother? He says, you are her husband. And who am I in the office? So he says, over there you are the manager. And who am I to my father? He says, you are his son. And he says, see, I play all these different roles. I am the son, I am the manager, I am the husband, I am the father. But yet I am only one. It's just me. Like that, there is one God who plays different roles. And you can worship that God, one God, through worshipping the different roles. Or you can worship that God as one, and both are fine. And the different roles simply give more reasons to celebrate.
Which we love. So, and we are glad for it, because that's the reason we got together again. And I learned something as we had several conversations, Bawa, with you and Dinesh. The word Durga comes from the word Durg, which is like, the fort, or if I say something which is, really impenetrable, we can also understand it as obstacles. And I learned Goddess Durga to be somebody we worship to help us overcome that fear of obstacles. And I think, given my history with dance, so, my dance, Kathak, which is an Indian classical dance, there's this mudra, which is the goddess sits in that, which I was taught is the Abhay Hasta, right? Which is, where she's basically blessing you to not fear anything and to go full throttle all through your life with whatever you believe in and whatever you want to make happen. And that's, to me, in a nutshell, what celebrating Navratri, what the sanctity of Navratri all sums up into. That whole confidence and that fearlessness to be what you are and what you believe yourself to be. Would you agree with that?
Once Gurudev told us that if you look at all our Hindu gods and goddesses, they are all sitting like that. There is one hand like this and one hand like that. They said, do you know what that means? And so, people said all sorts of things. He said, nahi, all it means is thero, there out.
Thero, that's great.
Thero, there out. Just thero.
Very nice, very nice. So great. Nisheeta, did you want to add any closing comments? I think I have what I needed with our conversation.
Thank you so much. It's so we will wait and we will celebrate simultaneously.
In the waiting, there should be celebration, and when the wait is over, there should be celebration. Basically, as I always say, until further notice, celebrate everything.
Great. Thank you. Okay. Thanks, Bawa. Thanks, Nisheeta.
Thank you, Bhavana. Thank you, Nisheeta. We had another lovely, really, really interesting conversation. Thanks.
Great.